All right. I don't like to play the audio too terribly much from this show. Not that I got anything against the guy. It's just every time we take a young quarterback, he always seems to have a big conversation piece about this guy, a lot of opinions about the guy. And I think it turns into that guy's review show. However, there was a theory that was shared last week that I have to play for everybody because people thought it was nuts. Guys, I don't think it's that nuts. Hit it.
This is the worst kept secret in the South. Haslam, Jimmy, owner of the Browns, huge SEC Tennessee booster, leans heavily on the Manning family. Arch Manning is part of the Manning family. And this is where Nick Saban comes in. Saban is incredibly close to not only Jimmy Haslam, but Saban's close to the Manning family as well. And so Saban, if he could land, I'm told, a top quarterback like Harbaugh going to the Chargers for Herbert, he would take a phone call for the NFL. And there are two teams guaranteed to be awful this year in the NFL, Cleveland and the Saints. Nick Saban has coached in Cleveland with the Browns under the Belichick staff, and he coached at LSU. This is not a conspiracy theory. Haslam's circle of trust, according to an article in The Athletic last year, is the Manning family and Jimmy Sexton and Bill Parcells. Sexton is Nick Saban's agent.
Audio courtesy FS1. Immediately people start rolling their eyes. Guys, they're obsessed with finding a franchise quarterback. They're obsessed with doing what they need to do to find a franchise quarterback. None of that is crazy. None of what he says is crazy.
The Nick Saban part is crazy.
I don't think that that's crazy either. Why is that crazy?
He'll be 74 next year. You
What's
want
that guy doing with the price of fish?
74-year-old guy who's never had any success in the NFL.
74 is the new 44.
You want that guy to be the head coach? I'm not saying you, but maybe you would. I don't know. Would you want
Nick Saban to be the head coach of the Browns?
Would you have taken Belichick?
Would I?
Because when we talked about Belichick, felt like nobody was on my side on that.
No, you know what? I would have taken Belichick. I think that now the whole Jordan Hudson thing is in our heads.
Okay.
So I'm trying to be honest with you. I got to go back to back then and would have said, hey, if they would have moved on with Kevin Stefanski, would you have taken Bill Belichick? Yeah, I would have taken Bill Belichick. I would have been open to it.
Well, it just seemed like when I brought up any prospects of Belichick bailing on what was going on at North Carolina for an NFL job, people were like, oh my God, Belichick is washed up. And it's just so funny to me that Belichick is the guy that's clearly had the unbelievable all-time, head coaching success in the league we're talking about. Nick Saban's had none of that. And would there be a genuine excitement about him taking over at age 74, the Browns?
I don't know how people wouldn't be excited about Nick Saban. And if it were, this is the scenario that plays out. Nick Saban ain't coming here without Arch Manning, right? According to what Colin Cowherd just said.
Now, is
audio courtesy FS1, right?
Is that Arch Manning after this coming season or after 2 years?
I would imagine it'd be this coming season.
Because remember,
you got 2 first-round picks for a reason this year.
Yeah, but wasn't all the talk about there's no way he's coming out after this year?
And maybe that's why that they position themselves there. I still think that that's going to be a tough sell.
Or do I got to wait for Saban to be 75?
You might have to wait for Saban to be 75. 75 is the new 45.
I got bad news for you on the Saban-Belichick age thing, right? It doesn't have Saban's actual birth date, but he was born in 1951, and Bill Belichick was born in 1952. So Saban's actually
older. So
a
Belichick's spry chicken in comparison.
And he's got the 24-year-old around there.
Well, that's all. That's going to make him how much younger?
That makes him 45.
I don't know. Miss Terry, though, has done a nice job.
Nick Saban's got Miss Terry with him, and she is a calming presence.
Does he eat the same chicken salad sandwich every day or something
for
40 years?
Oatmeal pies. He won't say the whole name because he knows better. He knows his players well. He ain't saying that whole name. He has the cup of coffee and 2 oatmeal pies every single day. That's a football guy right there. You tell me you wouldn't take Nick Saban just because he's old?
No, what I'm saying is I wanted Belichick at some point, and everyone's like, he's too old. But then you can't say Nick Saban. You can't say you want Nick Saban, but Belichick's too old.
I would have been a little bit questioning of it because I think we saw what Belichick was without the greatest quarterback all the time, and people were lining up to go after him. Plus some of the things that he had done, I thought the Matt Patricia thing was inexcusable. When he put him as an offensive coordinator, when you have a rookie quarterback or a second-year quarterback, I should say, I thought that was an inexcusable mistake personally. And I thought he set his own team up for failure. Talking about Belichick. Yeah. So that would have been a thing where if they would have taken Bill Belichick going into last year and been like, hey, it's Bill Belichick. You're like, he's a great coach. We'll see how it works. I think I'll do the same with Nick Saban. And I don't have the added plus of he did this to ruin his own franchise. He did that to get in the way of his own franchise. I think Saban is as obsessed with winning as anybody would find. How could he not listen to that sort of offer? If the Browns end up being in that position and everything that we know is true, where they are obsessed with finding a franchise quarterback and they were willing to go just bonkers when it comes to the Mannings, when it comes to putting Arch in the right position, not only are we going to put Arch in the right position, we're going to get one of the two greatest coaches of all time. And I know he wasn't very good in the NFL the first time around, but he'll always say he didn't have his quarterback. Now he has his quarterback. How can we set this thing off on the right foot with you, with somebody you trust? And then when Nick's done, say give Nick 3 years. Say 78, 77 years old by the end of it. Nick's there for 3 years, get you started off in the right direction, and then we pick the next coach for you, as we do with everybody. It seems bizarre to say it, because as of right now, on July 28th, it is bizarre to say it. But I think this could make a lot of sense come in January. So you wouldn't take Nick Saban, or you would take Nick Saban?
Why
would you take Nick Saban?
Part of it is that just the age, right? Like, what is the runway for somebody like Saban? How long do you think he's going to be coaching here and coaching that young, exciting quarterback rookie that he's going to be attempting to develop?
3 years.
So that just feels like you're not really solving an issue or like advancing your team. You know, it doesn't seem like a real plan.
Well, you don't want to sign up for a handoff to get to another handoff. You don't want to have to do something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I understand that. But I also think that if you got to the end of this season, if you don't think the season is going to be a good year, and you are as obsessed with finding a QB as they are, and you are as obsessed with trying to win as they seem to be, because you can't say that they ain't trying to win. They just may have made the wrong decisions. If you're as obsessed as they are, yeah, they'll absolutely try out a guy like Nick Saban. Or not even a guy like Nick Saban. They'll try out Nick Saban with this football team, yes.
What if, Anthony, we packaged this, and I don't know that this guy would do it, but what if it was Nick Saban as your head coach and Lane Kiffin as your OC?
Okay, so that does, man, you want to talk about a team that would, you want to talk about real attention, like the Shador stuff right now would pale in comparison. Right. You want to talk about a real national storyline every day where reporters would be embedded in Cleveland, Ohio, and they would be embedded, meaning they would move here. They wouldn't just be renting, or they wouldn't be like that. That is real attention that we're talking about.
I think
Keith, are you hearing me? That's real attention.
I don't think Lane Kiffin would want to work for Nick Saban anymore. However,
that's not the point, though. It's, hey, in 2 or 3 years, once we get this thing up and rolling, now you get to walk into something that you helped build and be the guy that is actually the feature player. Nick Saban's just the opening act.
Lane Kiffin calls a hell of an offense when it's not crunch time. I don't know if I'd want Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin's a good offensive mind.
Right, that's one way to go about it. What about, and just hear me out,
what?
Greg Williams and his OC is Freddie freaking Kitchens.
Right. Goodbye. We're done here. You want to run that back? 216-474-0092. Patrick and Hudson. Hello.
Guys, good morning. Thanks for taking me.
Glad to have you. Oh, congratulations on all your success. I think you were waiting on that. I forgot you're in Hudson. Go ahead.
Thank you. Lima, I agree with you 100%. Ken, I think you're out your mind.
Oh, okay.
You want a guy like Saban with no proven track record in the NFL. You're better off with our current head coach that's actually had success in the NFL, for one. For two, Arch Manning's not coming out for another 2 years. So you get a rookie 76-year-old head coach. 76 years old. That's our grandfather.
He's not a rookie head coach. He coached in 2005 and 2006.
So 20 years ago, you want to bring up a 2-year unsuccessful stint 20 years ago to have any back to go stand on this guy. Cleveland cannot handle another circus, and you would bring in a Nick Saban that would be an
can't handle another circus? What do you mean? We've been handling circuses for the last 20-plus years. What are you talking about? We can't handle another circus. Nick Saban, of all the things, is a circus? Nick Saban is a circus.
You don't think that Nick Saban as your head coach would not be just a media circus?
It would be a media spectacle of a lot of things, but I don't think he'd do a lot as being a circus. I mean, good God, he had Gus Frerotte. They went 9-7. Yeah, Gus Frerotte, they went 9-7. Say that name again. Gus Frerotte, they went 9-7. Wasn't Sage Rosenfels on that roster?
Sage.
Look it up.
Iowa State's own.
Iowa State's own. They love him there. I think Sage Rosenfels was on that roster there, for crying out loud, Patrick. They went 9-7.
The only 75-plus-year-old guy you gave me would be Pete Carroll. Other than that, I would much rather take.
You'd have Pete Carroll over Nick Saban?
110%. He's had success.
I mean, Pete Carroll's certainly been successful. But I'm saying
he's
over
Nick
74
in September.
My
God. Nick Saban is he's the greatest college coach of all time because he's coaching college. And there's coaching college and coaching NFL are just two different things.
Well, no, not as much anymore. I mean, hell, you have more control over your players now in the NFL than you do in college.
Yeah, I do wonder if there's going to be some blending.
Yeah.
Now, if you're going to see more
hell
of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you have more control than you ever did before. He didn't have any control. Now, you don't think he's going to have control, especially if he's with Art. See, I totally disagree, Patrick. Thank you very much for the call anyway. He's going to have, if you were to put this thing together, and it's, guys, and I know you guys are going, what are you doing? What are you talking about this for? It's crazy. No, it's not crazy. This is the same team that paid Deshaun Watson $230+ million guaranteed. So you can't tell me anything's crazy. This is the same team that traded for Odell Beckham Jr. in a first-round pick. You can't say that anything's crazy. Everything is on the table when it comes to the Cleveland Browns. If we were talking about the Guardians, there's definitely things that are on the table. But when it comes to the Cavs and Browns, it's all available. It's all there. They're all obsessed, and so it's all there for the conversation. So basically, anything that's said into the ether with anything that involves the future with Arch Manning or the Manning family or Nick Saban or anything like that is all a possibility. You can't just pull that. You can pull almost anything out of the sky, and it's going to be a possibility with them. So even Lima, who doesn't want Nick Saban, isn't saying, oh, no, it's no possibility, because it's the Browns. Everything's available. Everything is on the deck. And so if you went and you got a guy like Nick Saban, who did pull in, and I'm getting the confirmation here, he did have Sage Rosenfels. Thank you, Dad. He did have Sage Rosenfels on that 2005 roster. Then obviously, yeah, you're going to have yourself a guy who does work somewhat decently with quarterbacks. I know he's more of a defensive guy, but does work somewhat decently with quarterbacks and would probably have more control over his players than he ever did when he at the end, or what he would if he were to go back to college.